Hello, this is lesson 2 on the cosine rule. Today we're going to be covering how to rearrange and use the cosine rule to find missing angles. Okay, so let's get into it. So let's just recap the rules that we've already seen now. This is advanced trigonometry, so non-right angled triangles. We've seen the sine rule when you're finding a side. The sine rule when you're finding an angle, that's the version that you use, and up to now we've seen the cosine rule when you're finding a side, and as I showed you in the last lesson, those three are all sort of interchangeable. It depends what you label your triangle or what it's labeled as. You know, you're welcome to scribble out the labels and change them if you want. If you just want to always remember the first one, then always call the side you're looking for A, and the other two you should know because it's an angle sandwich. So you'll know that side, you'll know this angle, and you'll know this side. So up to now, that's what we've got. Now consider this question. Here is a question where I have all three sides. Okay, so asking yourself the standard questions: is it right angled? No. Is there a matching pair? No. Can I use the cosine rule that I used to use? And the answer is no, because I don't have an angle sandwich. I've got this side, I don't have this angle. Alternatively, I've got this side and this side, but I don't have that angle. Or alternatively again, I've got the base and this side, but I don't have this angle. So I don't have the angle that I need to make my angle sandwich, either of these three sandwiches. So what I'm now going to show you is how to rearrange the cosine rule. And I'm going to do that on a mini whiteboard. Right, so this is the cosine rule that you know, that this is the one that we used yesterday, or in your previous lesson. Now, as you can see, in this rule, I have three sides, these two again, and I have one angle. But at the moment, the subject of this formula, the subject of this equation, that means the thing that's on its own, is the a squared. Okay? Now, what I'd like to do is to rearrange this so that cos A is the subject of the formula. So this is how we're going to do it. First, I need to move, because cos A is currently attached to 2BC, technically it's actually attached to minus 2BC, I need to move this part here, I need to move that onto the other side. I'm going to do that by adding 2BC cos A. And if I do that on one side of the equals line, I have to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to add 2BC cos A to this side as well. And that will give me A squared plus 2BC cos A equals B squared plus C squared. So far, I've just moved this term over. Okay. Next. Now, to get the 2BC cos A section on its own, I now need to move this bit. I'll just put a box around it. I need to move that bit over to the other side. And the way to do that is to subtract A squared. So I'm going to subtract A squared from both sides. What that'll leave me with, on the left-hand side, I'll just have this bit, 2BC cos A. And on the right-hand side, I'll now have B squared plus C squared minus A squared. Now there's just one more step, which is to get rid of the 2BC. Because remember, the whole point of this, what I'm trying to do is to get the angle on its own, cos A, this capital letter. I want to get the cos A bit on its own. So remember with algebra, when things are written next to each other, that means times. So this is 2 times B times C times cos A. So I want to get rid of if I just put that bit in a box, I just want to get rid of that bit. Okay, and the way to get rid of that is to divide by 2bc. And if I do that on one side of the equal sign, I have to do the same on the other side as well. And that now gives me cos A equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared divided by 2bc. Now I'm using a fraction line for my divide because it's a little bit more straightforward. So what I'm now going to do is draw a sort of bubble around this rule, and I want all of you, please, to copy that rule here onto a piece of paper or an exercise book, whatever you're using to work on at the moment. Please do that now. Okay, let's return to the question. So this is the question we're looking at. As you can see, I've labelled the sides, I've labelled the vertices, capital letters on the corners, and you can see that angle A is the one I'm looking for. So the version of the rule that I want is the one that we just rearranged to, which looked like this. So that is the version of the rule I'm using. B squared plus C squared minus A squared divided by 2BC. When you get to this stage, students, it is a case of just putting it in your calculator and being careful that you, if necessary, use brackets so that you don't end up with double negatives or accidentally making a sort of silly calculation error. So I'm going to put the bits in that I know. Here I go now. So 6 squared plus 10 squared take away 9 squared, all divided by 2 times 6 times 10. And that gives me that. Cos A equals 55 over 20. Now the final step, as many of you will remember, is to undo the cos section. Now how do I undo the cos function? That's through pressing shift and cos, or cos to the minus 1. So I'm going to do cos to the minus 1, 55 over 120, giving me a final answer of 62.72 degrees. Again, it doesn't tell you what to round it to, so 2 decimal places or 3 significant figures is fine. And that's the answer, 62.72. Here is another question for you to try yourselves. Please pause the video here and have a go. Okay, so let's quickly get through the answers then. First step is to, remember your formula and also indeed to label the sides. So if labeling the sides, that would be capital A, which means this is little a. This one, let's call it capital B. So this will be little b. This one's capital C, and this one's little c. So I've now got all the bits that I need to put into this formula. I need the 3 sides and put them in like that. So 6 squared plus 5 squared take away 9 squared, all divided by 2 times 6 times 5, gives me minus 20 over 60. Yes, you can have a negative number. When I put that in my calculator and press cos to the minus 1 of that, my answer comes out as 110 degrees to 3 significant figures. Again, it doesn't tell you what to round it to, so 3 significant figures is fine. Okay then, so students, there are now 5 questions on the board for you to try. What I'd like you to do, please, is attempt all 5. If you found the examples pretty straightforward, then these 4 should also be straightforward. If you found the examples hard, then my advice would be to watch the examples again, watch those videos again. And also feel free to use the MathsWatch video on this topic as well. Remember, this is a grade 8 topic, so it's not going to be a very simple, straightforward, easy question. However, once you get your head around the formula, it is as simple as just plugging the numbers in. So you've got 3 sides. You just need to be clear which one's A, which one's B, which one's C. And in this case, if I'm calling this capital A, that's little a. So b squared plus c squared minus a squared divided by 2bc. And then press shift and cos. Okay? Have a go at those. Please take a picture of your submissions. A picture of your answers and submit this to class charts in order to complete your homework for today.